All right, what's going on, guys? It's Chris again with Tech Savvy Agent. Another great interview, another innovative product for real estate agents that we want to talk about. We're back on the topic of mobile. I'm here with my man David Meager, who has a website and a service called closesthouseforsale.com. And we're going to talk to David a little bit about what it is, how it works. So first of all, David, thank you for being on with us here today. And why don't you just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about why you're here, and then we'll get into some good questions on mobile.
Okay, Chris, thanks for having me. Well, the whole business that we have is based on the belief in that the future is mobile searches are going to become based on proximity. People aren't looking for a veterinarian's office and hoping to find one in a state that they're not even in. Our firm belief in proximity-based searching led us to create closesthouseforsale.com because we know that people buy houses based on communities and neighborhoods that they're in. So if we thought if we could bring them houses based on where they're standing at any given moment, it'll make the house hunting, the whole experience, easier for the user.
Okay, so it's all about location. For those of you that want to sound like you know what you're talking about, geolocation. Same kind of technology that Foursquare uses. Trust me, whether you know it or not, there's a GPS in your phone. If you have a smartphone, it knows where you're at. So I guess kind of paint the picture. If I'm a potential buyer and I'm driving around Orlando and I'm looking for a home for sale, how would I get to your site? Is it an app? Is it a website? How does it work from kind of a structural standpoint?
Well, Chris, the cool thing about our app, we call it an app, but apps used so loosely in the community now. It's actually a website, which is known as a web app, and people don't need to download anything to get here. They just go to closesthouseforsale.com from any smartphone. It'll detect that you're on a smartphone, and it will take you to the mobile-friendly app, the mobile-friendly web app. So there's no download. You don't have to go to the iTunes store, the Droid store. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we did that is to create some cross-platform usage that makes it easy for the user. They don't have to find it, download it. They just get to the site, closesthouseforsale.com. They could Google it. We do some mobile advertising to generate traffic that way. Mm-hmm. They get to it. It finds where they are, and it shows them houses based on where they are. If they're used to the old-school manner of, I want to put a zip code, or if they are searching by zip code, that's also an option.
Okay, so they can search by zip, but basically it's pulling in their location, and if they're in a neighborhood, it's gonna, and it doesn't just give you one house, right? It gives you kind of the closest homes for sale.
Right.
So it gives you a list of everything geographically with where you're at, which, I think that really what's happening is real estate marketing for a long time, you guys, was done so that people wouldn't forget you. So you branded yourself. You wanted them to remember you. Call me. You got the dog. You got the phone. Call me. ChrisSmith.com. Buddy King of real estate. But I think that mobile and search is changing the game because now you're going to reach them when they're there, while they're there, as they're looking in the moment. So, being a mobile company, I think you're in a good position. So how would an agent, how can I be the agent that is going to be featured? Like, how do you guys, like, if I see that list, if I have a listing, am I already next to my listing? Do I have to pay to be next to my listing? What is the business model for you guys, Dave?
Well, the way it works is that if, we cover the whole entire country, and we show houses for sale based on anyone wherever they are. The way the agents benefit from it is we have advertising opportunities that will put their banner, their name, their brand, their logo at the top of every page. And it's a banner that doesn't move. So if anyone's looking anywhere on the site, for example, if you're in 90210, as we discussed, if you're in 90210 and you're an agent there and you say, I want to reap the benefits of this mobile web app and this advertising and jump into the mobile game, you could purchase that zip code. It's exclusive to each advertiser for the year.
Okay.
Not only does it show up throughout the site with the banner across the top, it also shows up on listings. So if we have an advertising agent in an area and there's listings, they'll show up as a purchase agent. So if a customer wants to, or a potential customer sees a house they like and they're interested, they can click a button, it'll contact that agent just like that.
Yeah, and you guys, what I was going to say is people can try this right now while they're watching us. Take out your mobile phone right now. Go to closesthouseforsale.com. And then what was that zip code that you gave me? Because you can put the zip code in, and there is an agent feature. So I want people to be able to see how that works.
Yeah, in Oviedo, Florida, in some of the Orange County, we have an advertiser. So the zip code that I gave to you earlier was 32765, okay, which is an Oviedo, Florida zip code, which is right outside of Orlando.
Yeah, and what I would say is, I mean, listen, we got to remember, we're not all realtors. We don't know all the game. When I looked at that zip code and it pulled in the 15 or 20 listings, if I don't know what I'm doing as a consumer, I would have thought that those were all the agent's listings, right? Because the only banner at the top was for Rita. There were 15 listings. And then even when you go deeper into the listing to get the details, it still only has her contact information. So that would be sponsoring kind of an area, right?
Correct. And if anyone's interested in any of those houses, as they look at the details of it and they want to make contact with an agent about it, they would have been given the advertisers or the sponsors information.
So click to call, click to email.
Correct.
So basically catching the consumer in the act of being out. And, you know, when you talk about we think mobile search is going to be big, I mean, I've already seen the numbers. By 2015, more people will be searching on mobile than will be searching on a laptop or on a desktop. So, you know, I get all these questions, Dave, about ROI. You know,
right.
Hey, you know, I keep hearing about mobile, and I know that there's mobile ads and there's all these different options. You know, what is your response to that when an agent says, you know, well, David, how many leads am I going to get, or what is the ROI going to be if I decide to invest in your service? I mean, what is your response? Because that question just comes up so much.
It does, and when you look at the term ROI, a lot of people forget what it means and they just throw it out there, but it's actually return on investment. And so for a very small investment, as we discussed earlier, you know, we do zip codes for somewhere in the price of $50 to $100 per year, not a month, for the entire year. So, you know, as an agent, you might say, well, let me take a shot at this form of advertising and get 10 zip codes around me. That's where I sell houses. Most agents do it in a localized area. You're looking at, you know, $500, $600 for the year. If it got you one house sold in 20 years, you get your ROI. So, mobile advertising, if you're doing it the right way, from what we've seen and what we've experienced, if you're doing it localized, geo-targeted advertising, you'll get your ROI. It's a no-brainer.
I mean, I agree, because think of it this way, guys. Let's say you sign up with my man Dave, right? And remember, we don't get kickback, so it's up to you. You call David, he's got to close you, not me. But here's the point. Let's say you sponsor your zip code. Put that into your listing presentation, that you're leveraging mobile technology to connect with buyers in the moment, okay? Now, I know that agents don't usually get chosen because of one thing, but I know that they get asked, what is something you're offering that other agents are not? And if nobody's doing mobile advertising and you say, well, let me show you, and part of your CMA is we actually leverage a technology called closesthouseforsale.com. Go into what it is. If you earn a listing on the front side, it's just as good as if you get a buyer on the back side, right? And the other thing I love about mobile is it's not, you know, the app store, it's not real expensive, right? 99-cent apps, free apps. So one thing about ROI that you mentioned that I think is perfect, you're not investing a ton. You only need to get the return on the investment, right? So, I mean, I think it's definitely a cool option. And what was your mentality, just to close here? Because it's not an app, right? Like I can't. So how can I look at this on my phone? I can't go. I'm not going to like the App Store. I'm not going to the Android Marketplace. You just go to the browser, and that allows it to work with any phone.
Correct. You just go to your web browser like you normally would, and you just type in closesthouseforsale.com. If you look at it from a desktop, it'll just show the features of the web app. But if you look at it from a mobile device, it'll detect that and show it for you. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to buy anything. You just go there, and it'll show you the houses for sale around you.
Well, it sounds cool, man. I appreciate you, sharing this with us. Another innovative option, another tech-savvy mobile option. I mean, I'm almost convinced that the next 12 months of my life, I'm going to be talking about mobile, and I'm going to be talking about video, and I'm probably going to be talking about mobile video, But beyond that, I mean, that's just where all this stuff's heading. So thank you, Dave. How can people get in touch with you? Do you have, you want to give out your contact info?
Yeah, actually, you can just call me direct. I answer all phone calls myself. I do have a sales manager, but if any of your people want to call direct, just call me, 813 area code 335-7456.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for your time, Dave. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chris.